Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. TX signed acknowledgement of paternity, baby born 2 weeks ago, paternity test shows it's not mine. I'm pretty emotional right now and looking for some advice. A little backstory: I am married, and my wife got pregnant, and I took care of her throughout the pregnancy. I was by her side through the delivery, too. She's a doctor, and talks a lot about her male nurse assistant who has crazy stories that he shares with her. Stories about how he's impregnated married women, and just avoided responsibility. I never thought much beyond "wow, he sounds like an asshole," and just trusted my wife fully. Well, I saw she was getting weird about her phone in the past few months, and I haven't been able to touch it really. Our sex life wasn't exactly booming when she got pregnant either, so while possible I got her pregnant, definitely possible, I figured it's probably not likely, plus the weird phone stuff. I did a DNA swab of the baby one evening. I went through a pretty well-known email in the test, and sent 2 separate samples just to be sure no mistake could be made, since I don't really want to gamble on my marriage. Both came back as the child not being mine. Some things that I think might help me. The infidelity is all too clear. Her mom is staying with us for a bit now. Her mom is very anti-cheating, and likes me a lot. She cares a lot about her reputation, and is a doctor in the area. She's involved in the church, too. She has no idea I know, from what I can tell. I hid the test kits in my work bag, which she never checks, and I've kept a close watch on. I mailed them off on a grocery run, and received the results online. I still have the element of surprise on my side here. The questions I have are: I read that I have 60 days to rescind the EOP. If I rescind this, and the divorce goes well, and I'm able to identify the actual father, who I'm pretty sure is the nurse, but I could be wrong. He's the only guy she seems to have much exposure to and fits the bill. Am I still at risk of having to pay child support for 18 years for a child that isn't mine? I actually suspect she will want to avoid child support payments from me. She's pretty independent and an I don't need no man type. I could be wrong though, as clearly I don't know her as well as I thought. We make pretty similar amounts of money. I have a home I bought before the marriage with 20% equity that we rent out. We bought a new home together in preparation for the baby. I am actually divorced, and in my previous divorce my ex made off like a bandit, but there was no infidelity and she made significantly less than me. Could her easy to prove infidelity work in my favor for any divorce settlement? How do I know if a family lawyer is actually good? Searching for one is overwhelming. It's hard to tell because everyone I've talked to on the phone is very rough around the edges, and kind of rude. I don't particularly mind having a tough lawyer, but I want someone who doesn't intimidate me, personally. Thank you for your help, in advance. I still have the element of surprise on my side here. To the extent that you have the first to file advantage to establish the jurisdiction, not a big thing if you still live together, and you can consult with a divorce attorney and have your plan to protect your assets and accounts when the ugly conversation happens. Your wife will presumably not be completely surprised. I read that I have 60 days to rescind the EOP. You do. I'm curious about why you signed one at all, since you are married to the child's mother and legally presumed to be the child's father. During the divorce process, the court will make a legal determination of your non-paternity via a DNA test they order and through their approved vendor. The over-the-counter tests you used are very useful for your own planning but won't be used by the court. Am I still asking the risk of having to pay child support for 18 years for a child that isn't mine? Only if you don't divorce, or if you wait several more years to divorce, or if you do not raise the dispute of paternity in the divorce. Could her easy to prove infidelity work in my favor for any divorce settlement? It might affect alimony, but very probably not division of assets. A no-fault divorce is very probably the best choice. How do I know if a family lawyer is actually good? How did you like the work done by your previous divorce attorney? It is very important to have an attorney who you are confident is competent, and who can explain issues to your satisfaction. You don't need some sort of courtroom barracuda to do a divorce and paternity disestablishment, so if you don't like their demeanor, call another one. I am a little confused. I signed the birth certificate and I thought this was AOP. Am I mixing things up? Thank you for your advice. I'm not super worried about alimony. From what I've seen in Texas, it's not very common, especially since she herself is a doctor and makes about the same as me. I'm not familiar with the exact mechanics of how a husband's name gets onto a birth certificate in Texas. I think that the hospital just offers the forms to the mother and they accept at face value that both people presenting themselves as married parents are married parents. A married man is presumed to be the legal father of his wife's children until that's proven otherwise. An acknowledgement of paternity affidavit is generally used by unmarried men. It's a legal substitute for the presumption of paternity for married men. That presumption can be overcome by a matching set of AOP and DOP documents and mutual agreement among the husband, mother, and biological father. Or, more commonly and certainly, through a DNA test ordered during a divorce. So there's probably no AOP to revoke. You should review the issue with your divorce attorney. Don't try to capture or hack any information from her phone. A court-ordered DNA test is conclusive evidence of infidelity if you want an at-fault divorce, and no-fault divorces are cheaper, faster, and simpler. You also don't want to run afoul of any privacy violations or computer crimes. And believe old Bob Seger when he says, "I wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then." Bro, Texas is an at-fault state, so if you prove your wife's infidelity, I think the divorce will mostly go in your favor. Collect some evidence apart from paternity, some message or locations, and give it to your lawyer. If you have proof, then you can come out with more than you expected. You need an attorney. You're married and on the birth certificate. Legally, you are the presumed father. Paternity needs to be one of the first things you raise with the court, and you have a battle ahead. You need a court-ordered DNA test. Your home test alone is not sufficient to rebut your paternity. Should I, 37M, have my wife, 33F, served with divorce papers in a gathering of our families? I made a new account and actually posted in legaladvice yesterday, trying to get my ducks in a row as I'm on an extreme emotional roller coaster. My wife follows my main Reddit account. I want to ask about the duality, relationship aspect of what I'm about to go through, as I feel tact is required for my best possible outcome. She had a baby recently. 2 weeks ago. My wife started getting really weird with her phone about mid-pregnancy, and she's told me about her coworker who brags about sleeping with a ton of women, including married women, and even bragged about fathering a child and another man unknowingly raising it. I think he's a pos, but I thought my wife was telling me this as a way of conveying how horrible he is. He's the only man she spends any time with other than me, and has a history of this, so I'm assuming the baby is his, but I could be wrong. I don't really care at this point whose it is. I just know it's not mine. Anyways, how I know? I ordered 2 well-known paternity tests leading up to the delivery of the baby, and hid them well. I administered and sent them in, and both, I used 2 just to kill the chance of a false positive or negative or something like that. Paranoia came back showing the child was not mine. I'm doing my best to keep up a good act and pretend I'm the committed father, husband she thinks I am. I'm so disgusted and resentful though. I feel a strong urge to get ahead of this because I've been divorced before, also cheated on in that marriage. Amazing, I'm kind of numb to it now, and the ex-wife told everyone that I cheated, and that she was the victim, and it turned into a huge mess where most people still don't even believe me, and she told everyone that the screenshots I had proving it were photoshopped, generated, and she generated her own too to make it look like I was sexting some woman who doesn't exist. It's because I gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought she'd be a good person. Instead she got upset she was caught, and immediately told everyone that I cheated instead of her, and then it became her word versus mine. I don't think that will happen here since there's a baby to prove the infidelity, but I still want to be careful. Given the extreme situation in that I've been misled for almost a year, what I really want to ask is, would it be reasonable for me to pull both of our families and best friends over, and confront her with witnesses, and the paternity tests, divorce papers, and a packed bag? I just want to make sure nothing is communicated incorrectly to anyone. To be fully honest, I don't care if the attendees think this is immature, petty of me. The reputation sting of miscommunication has hurt me before, and many people who I considered close friends think I cheated on my ex, when she cheated on me, and won't talk to me ever again. Her family is local, so I think she can stay with them after the event, but at this point I've had my reputation falsely tarnished once in my life by a really bad person. I don't want it to happen again, and I would be lying if I said I didn't feel the need for her deeds to be labeled. TLDR, baby isn't mine. I have very solid proof of that. I want her unfaithfulness known so it can't be misconstrued in any way, and to just move on with my life. Is serving her at a gathering okay? Edit, okay, thanks for the advice. I get it. I'm too angry to think straight. More than half the people who have posted think this is petty, and that's why I asked, and I'm going to go with the people who aren't emotional wrecks right now. I plan to just go forward with the gathering as normal, and as soon as the last person leaves I will pack a bag for her, and the baby, and provide her with a printed copy of the paternity test, and divorce papers. I do, however, plan to text everyone who attended what transpired as they left, the next day, with a picture of the paternity test. I'm 100% doing this part regardless of what Reddit thinks. At this point the family gathering is already going to happen. I stupidly suggested this during an emotional bout. Sorry to miscommunicate that. I will suffer through it, so as not to tip her off that I know. I still want to maintain the element of surprise. I think the text will just say, to her family, friends, individually, it pains me to have to communicate this to everyone. I saw suspicious behaviors in wife and came into doubts about the child being mine. I ran 2 paternity tests against child and both came back showing that she is not mine. I am very sorry to be the bearer of this news that our family will be no more. I wish you the best and hope you will give her the support and the child, as the child has nothing to do with her mistakes. To my family, friends, individually, it pains me to have to communicate this to everyone. I saw suspicious behaviors in wife and came into doubts about the child being mine. I ran 2 paternity tests against child and both came back showing that she is not mine. I am very sorry to be the bearer of this news that our family will be no more. To my family and friends, I am okay. I just need some time to heal, and I think getting through the divorce will be the first step. Additional edit for clarity since it's hitting multiple comments. Anyways, how I know. I ordered 2 well-known paternity tests leading up to the delivery of the baby, and hid them well. I administered and sent them in, and both I used 2 just to kill the chance of a false positive or negative or something like that. Paranoia came back showing the child was not mine. I'm doing my best to keep up a good act and pretend I'm the committed father, husband she thinks I am. I'm so disgusted and resentful though. Rereading this I can see the ambiguity. I typed up everything this morning while incredibly high on negative emotions, nothing else, I promise. I apologize for that. What I mean in the quoted text is that I purchased 2 test kits, and administered them as per the test kit's instructions, then mailed them into the lab and paid the fee. The results were uploaded online. This worked very similar to 23andMe for those of you who have done that. Instead of spitting into a container it was just a cheek swab, though. The reason for my wording of leading up to the pregnancy is that I wanted to have them on hand so I could act fast and either validate or invalidate my insane emotions, and if I need to, act fast on divorcing, relieving myself of liability. Additional clarity, I used the swab on the baby, not my wife. Didn't think that needed clarifying. Important, Have someone else serve her the papers. It's illegal for you to do it yourself. Forget that sleazebag and move on with your life. Anyone who doesn't remain friends with you is a douchebag who was never your friend in the first place. Yep, the lawyer is going to have someone serve her. I'm really glad you have all your ducks in a row. Sorry you're going through this. It would be of poor taste, not for your wife, but for all the guests who may not want to be thrust into your marital infighting. You seem to be concerned about your reputation after what happened with your first divorce, which is completely understandable, but while making a spectacle out of your failed marriage will probably go viral online, it won't garner you any sympathy from your friends and family. If you want to be sure that your story is out before she can construct a lie about it, drop the bombshell to her close family, parents, siblings, just after delivering it to her, for example an email when you essentially say wife and I are getting a divorce, she cheated on me, here are 2 paternity tests proving the baby isn't mine. Then you let the truth spreads on its own. I agree. I am rethinking and just planning to tell them individually. Thanks for reading, posting. No problem, sincerely sorry you have to go through such hardship again. Please tell me you didn't sign the birth certificate. Consult an attorney if you're named on the birth certificate, you could be on the hook for support regardless. I did this. They don't care. They'll be mad at her but they'll say they support her. At best you'll get a neutral reaction towards you. At best. Yep, you know, I think this is mainly due to the fact that she'll be the one with the responsibility of looking after the child. So pity can work miracles for her and against up, and I imagine it worked against you as well. Sorry you had to go through that. Wanted to make sure you see this, so posting here as well. I think that's a completely acceptable course of action. One word of warning, look at the laws in your area to make sure it is okay to do those paternity tests without her knowledge. You legally claiming that in a text message might be legally liable if it is not 100% legal. You should also make sure you look into child support aspects. A lot of the time, kids born in a marriage are your responsibility irrespective of whether you are the parent, unless the biological dad can be held responsible. Get out as soon as you can, without delay to minimize the likelihood of this happening. I work in a divorce office and there are forms to be filled out to say this baby conceived during this marriage is not the husband's. She will need to sign it and make sure you are not on the birth certificate. If you can do that, it will help. And you will likely need to deal with DCS and another DNA test, court-ordered may have to be done, depends on your local laws/courts. It's going to likely get messy. I wish you luck. I know you already choose the other way, but I personally would really enjoy that kind of drama while attending a lame family gathering. The shouting, the tears, the 100% prove. In my eyes, best family gathering ever. But I don't know your people, so your story. Please post an update. Given what you have been through, and that you have been burned before, I would completely understand wanting to do the whole family gathering and confronting everyone at once. It takes away the agony of going through it again when you might have to explain it to more friends and relatives. Just rip off the band-aid. Plus it will cause her some shame, which wouldn't be the worst thing given her actions. Either way, good on you for being vigilant and getting out now. If I received such a personal text from a family or friend, I would immediately stop talking to them. It's too bizarre, and the idea they thought I should know is relationship ending. I have this rule about public confrontations that has saved me from making bad situations worse, and that is it worth ruining lunch over? I'm cackling at work over here, but true. The best advice you'll find is in this comment here. Glad my bad decisions could make you chuckle, smiley face. I inherited the skill from my father where I can ruin the whole mood of the evening if I so wish, and the power to bring it right back. It's a gift and a curse that I've only recently learned to wield with responsibility. Crying face, crying face. Honestly, taking this one to heart. I've been ruining a lot of lunches lately. Wasted food and drink, blah. I mean, in this situation, duck it, but that's me. Someone cheats and trying to pawn a baby off that isn't his. Just do it. Duck Hit. So your new plan is to go to this family gathering, act normal the whole time, then send a text to each individual that came saying you're not the father of the baby? Seems a bit disjointed. How did you avoid putting your name on the birth certificate? I didn't avoid it. Luckily there's about 60 days to contest that in my state. You better take her to court and have a court-ordered paternity test. I doubt your home tests will be able to be used. Get on it now. The clock is ticking. You're right, they won't be used. They're a good starting point for divorce, but the court will have to order their own. Found out the baby we had 2 weeks ago is not mine. Looking for support. Need support. I actually have posted a couple of posts about this. The context of my situation is in the first post, but I'll TLDR it. Wife and I had a baby a couple weeks ago. I've been suspicious of her for about half a year, I guess, based on how she suddenly changed with respect to her phone. 2 paternity tests, after birth, cheek swabs, later, it's not mine and I haven't confronted her yet. I posted the first RA post in a wave of negative emotion and have cooled a bit from wanting confrontation. The non-abridged version is: Wife and I had a baby a couple weeks ago. Leading up to this I saw suspicious activity that was triggering in my wife based on my previous marriage. She kept her phone from me at all costs. I know some find that assuming someone is cheating based on that, as per the RA post's comments, to be insecure and ridiculous, but I am now 2 for 2 on getting weird with the phone, meaning that my partner is trying to hide something from me. The irony in this behavior is I do not snoop. If they actually just played it cool and handed me the phone when I ask if I can look something up or Google Maps something, for instance, when my phone is dead, I'd probably never find out they're cheating. It's the behaviors around the device and trying to hide something that give them away. I have zero interest in my wife's text messages, emails, call log, etc. I basically sat on these thoughts for close to half a year, and bought a couple of paternity tests, then ran them after birth. I got the results back quickly, and both came back showing I'm not the father. I spent literally the whole time praying that I'm crazy, jealous, insecure. Problems I can fix with therapy. I have never wanted to be wrong so bad in my life. To seek advice and hear people call my problem fake is devastating. I wanted to be a father so bad. I was so excited about the baby when I first learned about it. I'm in my late 30s and getting to a point where I want to just give up on having a family. I'm not looking for advice here though, just support. I feel pretty lost as both of my marriages have now involved me being cheated on. I'm definitely not perfect, and I do have certain issues. I don't think they are ever big enough to justify cheating. I communicate when I have a problem, and sometimes that causes arguments, but I have learned to communicate well in my time. I make a point not to be the jealous type and I don't restrict my partners at all. I say the same thing to everyone I have dated or married. Me being jealous and controlling isn't going to stop a cheater from cheating. If the person cheats, I'll probably find out, and deal with it at that point. That said, it's hard not to develop some trust issues after this. What a disgusting excuse for a wife. Human beings. Sorry man, this is brutal. I see you spoke to a lawyer. When are you going to file? People cheat because they are broken, not because of who they are with. The only issue might be that you picked the wrong people to marry. This is something that can be worked on. You can still have a kid and a happy marriage. Don't give up. Even though this is monstrous, you can and will heal. You need to see an attorney immediately to contest paternity. It is called an avowal. Otherwise you will be on the hook for child support for the next 18 years. You have a limited time to file for an avowal, so see an attorney ASAP. This. OMG, this. I pray that you did not sign the birth certificate. Folded hands, folded hands, folded hands, folded hands. Unfortunately, this is the state of relationships and marriages nowadays. Too many people want perfection and TV spouses instead of a real human being. Your wife is nothing short of disgusting, and you have to free yourself from this situation. Consult with a good attorney and start the process of divorce. Any woman who cheats and gets pregnant by another man isn't someone you stay with. After the divorce is finalized, refrain from being in a relationship for the foreseeable future so you can work on yourself first. I'm not at all trying to be rude, but you seriously need to adjust your cheatometer. Don't let this happen again. Moving forward, flip the script and rethink your standards. Don't be afraid to set hard and firm boundaries and enforce them. Strive for open communication and transparency with future partners. More importantly, don't let anyone bully you with that controlling and insecure bullshit. You're not in high school anymore, you're an adult. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.